Good morning and welcome to Homepage, a public affairs feature of 93.7 K Country and Wind FM 95.5, 92.5, and 107.9. I'm Bob Moody, and my guest this morning is Natalie McComb, and she is from the United Way of Marion County. Natalie, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Natalie, you are with United Way. Tell me your capacity there at United Way.
So I am the Vice President of Resource Development, and what that means is really I'm out in the community working with individuals and businesses to not only raise funds for the United Way, but to also engage folks in volunteering, as well as advocating for the organization and our partners out in the community.
So tell us a little bit about United Way's mission and how it serves the community.
Yes, so our mission is to unite local resources to help our neighbors. And what I like about that is we really stress that it's our neighbors, again, here in Marion County. So we fight for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in Marion County. And as a one county United Way, we have the ability to just focus on our own backyard. So we keep the dollars that we raise local, and we can be responsive to the most pressing needs of our community.
What are some of the issues you're looking to address in Marion County?
So as I mentioned, we do have three focus areas. We focus in education, health, and financial stability. What you may not realize is that 54% of Marion County third graders are not reading on grade level by third grade. So for us, early education, kindergarten readiness, and literacy are a big focus for us in the area of education. We also help to address issues that children may be facing at home that impact their performance inside the classroom. So again, are they coming to school with a hungry belly? Are they encountering homelessness or domestic violence at home, or any kind of mental health concerns? And we work to address that either through programs we offer or organizations that we partner with. Here in Marion County, we also don't have a great health outcome, unfortunately. So we do have a community that has a lot of health needs. And so a lot of the things we focus on are, again, removing barriers to folks accessing health services here in the community, not only through what we fund, but again, making sure that we're removing those barriers. So for example, providing transportation or some services at no cost. And unfortunately, here in the community, we also have 51% of folks that are living paycheck to paycheck. So we call that the ALICE population, and that stands for Asset Limited, Income Constrained, Employed. So it really is that the working poor in our community. So we do a very large study throughout the state, and we look at, not just the folks living in poverty, but those that are really working hard to make ends meet, but may just need a little bit of a hand up. So what we focus in financial stability is helping those families that are working and living paycheck to paycheck to try and make some of those things a little easier and remove those barriers that allow them to put food on the table, keep their utilities on, and have a home for their children.
I did not realize that you work with the school system.
Mm-hmm. We have a great partnership with our public schools. Not only do they certainly refer a lot of families and students to United Way for services, but we also have a wonderful program called Reading Pals. That's one of the great ways that we engage volunteers in our community. We're in 19 elementary schools this coming year. That's actually an expansion over 16 the previous year. And that program is wonderful because we match up struggling kindergarten students with a reading mentor. And they come into the classroom, particularly to focus on the students that need the most assistance in reading. And they read to those students one-on-one for 30 minutes, either once or twice a week. This is the 6th year of that program. And it's just a wonderful opportunity for us to be there in the public schools, to engage volunteers in our community in a meaningful way. And they really get to see the progress that student makes over the course of the school year. And that, I think, is one of the most rewarding things that we do. And one of the best examples of how we partner with our public schools to address an issue that is critical in Marion County. As I said, our reading scores are not where we want them to be.
United Way is, from what I understand, not the same throughout the country. So it is different in other communities?
Yeah. I guess kind of a good way to describe it that your listeners may understand is you think of it more as like a franchise relationship in the sense that each United Way is an independent nonprofit in their community. So, for example, I work for United Way of Marion County. So we're independent here in Marion County. We're governed by a local board of directors. We have a staff of 12. Again, all the United Ways across the country and across the world, we all follow certain things that, are best practices, and we all may work together on certain things, but generally we're very just focused on our own backyard. We have a lot of ability to look at the issues and the most pressing needs that are happening in our community and then allocate those resources and partner with organizations that address those issues. So what you may see if you go visit Philadelphia, for example, would be very different. That's a very large United Way that serves multiple counties and has a large staff. We're here in Marion County, we're quite small, but we do a whole lot to serve this community, and we have the ability to be responsive to those needs as they arise. So it's great that we have that power of the network, but also the flexibility to be, again, responsive to what our community cares about and what the folks in our community really want to see changed, and what are the issues that we need to be working on addressing.
How does United Way support local nonprofit? I thought that United Way was some type of organization that had their own little things that they do, but you actually support different things throughout the community.
Mm-hmm. We're kind of a hybrid of the two. United Way was first started really as a community chest. We were that nonprofit that basically did the fundraising for that community to bring those funds in, have people donate, and then send them right back out the door to the agencies doing the work. And now you'll find that most United Ways and us here in Marion County, we do both. So we do offer and run a variety of programs ourselves in offering those services, but we also have what we call our community grant process. So every 2 years, we open up an call for applications for nonprofits in the community that want to receive a United Way grant. We're one of the few local grant making entities. So that is a big asset for a local nonprofit, particularly those that are small, to be able to apply for United Way funding. So when we open up that application process, it's a very rigorous process. They apply to our vision councils, which are groups of volunteers that review those applications and that really comb over and understand what program that nonprofit wants to provide or is currently providing to our community. And then they select really the best programs that are going to help us address those target issues in education, health, and financial stability. And it's not an easy task. So currently we're funding 25 programs at 22 nonprofits. And again, we fund programs, not agencies. So I think what's wonderful, and I'll use Marion Senior Services as an example, we fund their Meals on Wheels program because one of our focus areas in health is to ensure that seniors can be living independently and healthy at home. And so that's why that program fits very well with our focus in health. So we provide a grant to Marion Senior Services to be able to fund so many recipients of the Meals on Wheels program. So every 2 years, we do open that up to the community. And just this past year, we did welcome 5 new nonprofits as what we call our partner agencies. And what's a wonderful thing about that as well is we do work and build those relationships among those nonprofits. So we're not just working in silos. We work together on a lot of different things. And we have those conversations to say, hey, how can we maybe combine these programs or how can we pull together our resources to provide something new or innovative in the community? So it really does build that sense of nonprofit community, if you will, between all of our partner agencies.
So do you have any of your own programs that you run?
Yes. So in addition to the Reading Pals program, which I mentioned, which is a partnership with our public schools, we do have our 211 resource line. So that's something that we're the sole funder and provider of that. That 211 number is available across the country, mostly funded by United Ways. So again, it's kind of like dialing 411, but it's a helpline for help and human services. So it is a 24/7 number. A real person answers the phone. They're a highly trained call specialist. And basically you call and tell them whatever challenge you're having or question you're having. And then they help talk you through that and let you know if there's a resource available here locally that you can, that could possibly assist you with that need. So last year alone, we received over 21,000 phone calls into that number. So it's very much utilized by the community. And sometimes they're crisis calls. They're trained to handle suicide calls. They're trained to handle other kind of crisis communications. But sometimes it's something as simple as, I'm new to the area, I'm on a fixed income, where can I sign my child up for VPK? And is there a program that can help me with some of those costs as well? So we get a variety of phone calls for folks. And again, we want to make sure that that's a service that we offer because it's tricky to navigate the help that's out there. And there's a lot of great nonprofits that are doing wonderful work, and folks in the community may not know about them. So that's one of the things that we provide. And then in addition, we do have a couple other programs. We provide a free tax preparation program, what we call our VITA program, and that stands for Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. And what that is we train and certify IRS volunteers to help folks complete their tax returns, their personal tax returns. So last year alone, we completed over 2,500 tax returns here in the county at 5 sites. So again, that's something for your listeners to be aware of as well, is they can call call 211 just after the new year, and they can make an appointment to get their taxes done for free. And that way they're keeping those dollars in their pockets, and we make sure that folks get their taxes done and they get those tax credits back quickly and efficiently. It's all filed electronically. So that's something that we're very proud of to offer as a service for the community. And then finally, we do have a program called Strong Families, and that's our newest program that we run ourselves. And that's really focused on, again, that 51% of the folks that are really living paycheck to paycheck. How do we work with them a little more intensively to be able to help them hopefully provide for themselves, meet the basic needs of their family, and maybe not have to come back to that soup kitchen or not have to come back to an area shelter. So we currently work with about 90 families a year through that program. We have a class here in Ocala as well as one out in Dunellen, and we work with those families for a full year. So we do 16 weeks of skill building sessions where we bring the full family together. We serve them a meal. In some cases, this is the only meal that a family is enjoying together for the week. So we want to create those special moments. And then we send the children to licensed childcare, and the adults go through a skill building session. So it could be something as simple as creating a household budget or understanding credit, how to work on your resume, connecting them with resources like Career Source here locally who can help them find a job or connect them with a job training program. And we work on goal setting with them as well. So after those 15 weeks of skill building sessions, we have a great graduation for them, but then they continue to receive biweekly case management for a full year. Because what we found is that while there are many organizations that provide support for families, some of them are not long-term enough that a family may encounter a hurdle along the way. They get discouraged and they may slide right back into falling behind on their mortgage or falling behind on their rent. And we really want to make sure that when we're working with them, you see those long-term solutions and those long-term outcomes. So that year-long relationship is really vital to the success of that program. So that's, I think, our most promising new program, and a way that we've really been able to pull together a lot of nonprofits as well as corporate partners and volunteers in the community to really work and support these families and be their best advocates and cheerleaders too, because some of these folks, unfortunately, may not have someone who set a good example for them as they were building their family. And that's what we want to be there for them, to be that listening ear and that cheerleader, and to help them accomplish their goals.
Are there qualifying criteria based on income, or is it based on?
Yes. So we do an intake interview. So first of all, how families can learn more about the program and sign up for the program. Certainly, we have some families that approach us directly at United Way because they've heard about it. We do get a lot of referrals from our partner agencies in the community. So, for example, Salvation Army or Shepherd's Lighthouse in Bellevue, even Habitat for Humanity, for example, has been able to recommend some of the families that they're working with because they want the families to be able to keep those homes, that they're living in. And so we get a lot of referrals from our partners, some by word of mouth. When someone is interested, they do come in for an interview, and they do provide, information on their income. What are their various sources of income? How much do they have in a savings account right now? And we do all of that as part of the intake. So yes, we do certainly serve folks that are lower income. We have a wait list at some points. So we do want to serve folks that are often, and unfortunately, they're either at the poverty line or below the poverty line. But we do, work with some families that may be starting to kind of see the light, but they may still need a little bit of work. A lot of the families that we initially started working with in this program were in area shelters. So definitely folks that may not even have a stable income right now. And that's part of the goal that we have for them. We do track their success in a few areas. One is if they didn't have stable housing, that's one thing that we work with them on. First and foremost is helping them to secure stable housing. And for us, that's either getting them to have a rent or a lease somewhere or a mortgage. We do connect them with a lot of first-time home buyer programs and things like that. It doesn't mean that they're staying in a hotel week to week. We meet a lot of families that are going from one hotel to the next. So we really want that, again, that rent or that mortgage, and that's what we consider stable housing. We track, again, that reduction of debt. A lot of families that come to us are really saddled in debt. So that's something that we track. We track whether their credit score improved, because again, that reduction of debt, the more they're able to save. We track how much they have in savings. And then also educational attainment. So many of the families we work with over the course of the time that they work with us, we're helping them go back and access programs to get maybe a GED that they never got, or their diploma, or a certification. A lot of the families will come to us and maybe they'll work on a CNA license or something like that. Because again, sometimes those are those barriers of why they can't bring home more or why they can't get a higher paying job is because they don't have those educational milestones that they need. And then some families are going to college, which is wonderful. Again, sometimes they didn't know what financial aid was out there for them to be able to take those night classes and continue their education. And that's been wonderful too, to be able to see folks be connected. Because again, sometimes we take for granted that we may be able to pull up a website and know what's out there and do our research. And a lot of these families, they don't know that that's out there. They don't know that there's a program that can help them. So we help them navigate through that.
In housing, you help them with their rent, or if they qualify for your help, they would probably qualify for a government subsidy of some kind.
Mm-hmm. Most of the time, we're not writing a check directly out to pay for someone's rent or mortgage. That's a very rare instance. Most of the time, we are connecting them with an existing program because, again, we try not to provide direct assistance in that way to families because there are state programs, there are federal programs, there are local programs. We try and help them get through that process of applying for some of those things. Occasionally, where we do need to step in or we need to provide some assistance is many families, because they don't have that emergency fund or they don't have that savings account, they don't have first and last month's rent.
Right.
So sometimes that is the biggest barrier for them to actually get into an apartment or a home, is that they don't have that much saved up. So that's one of the things that we've seen an increasing need on is those programs that can really help provide first month and last month's rent. And there's even some generous landlords out there that are willing to work with us and provide that and kind of be able to work that out to then get the family into stable housing. But that's what I would say would be the biggest barrier, because in most cases there are programs that folks can qualify for. Unfortunately, they take time. And a lot of them can't provide that first month's and last month's rent assistance.
Let's talk about the 211 helpline. Mm-hmm. Now, this 211 helpline, is that strictly in Marion County, or is that statewide or nationwide?
Yep, it's statewide and in most other communities nationwide as well. In some communities, it's a partnership between United Way and other organizations. Here in Marion County, as I mentioned, we're the sole funder and provider of that. But that number, for us, it's really a matter of helping folks navigate and get connected, especially in a time of crisis. And what's important to us as well is that those folks that are answering the phone, first, that it's a real person, because sometimes folks are calling this number and they're desperate. We certainly get a lot of calls where someone may be in an unsafe situation that we may need to, in some cases call the authorities, but in others, they may need to know where to go or where is a safe place to go. And so that's the first thing, that we have those, real person answering the phone, trained specialist. There's also folks that we can connect that speak a variety of languages. So that's another thing that I've even spoken to local businesses downtown, that if they have someone come in that does not speak English, that clearly needs assistance, 211 is a good resource for that as well, so that you can provide that help. Another thing is we provide 211 cards to our police and firefighters as well, so that when they're out in the community, if they've encountered somebody that clearly needs help or needs some additional follow-up after an emergency, that they have something to give them, somewhere to point them. That is their next step toward recovering from whatever it is that they faced. So again, that's a 24/7 number. And I always say, if you're not sure if there's someone that can help you, it never hurts to call. Never hesitate to call. There are a lot of wonderful programs out there, again, that people just may not know about. We even try and keep that database up to date with area churches that may provide assistance. So it's not always the largest program. Sometimes it's just your local neighborhood church that we know has a program that can provide some type of assistance in that community. And in many of the rural areas of Marion County, that's where a lot of the help is provided, is some of our area churches.
So when someone calls the 211 helpline, this being statewide, how do they?
Yes.
Who makes the call?
So they'll actually ask you what county you're calling from. So that's one of the first ways to kind of drill down. We do have folks in the call center that are Marion County specialists, but we have folks that are also specialists in other counties, and everyone can access the same information in the database. So that's one of the first questions you'll be asked is what county you're calling from. And then they'll also ask questions that can help drill down a little bit further. For example, are you a veteran? If you're a single parent, do you have children? Things like that, because there's a lot of organizations that may have qualifications of who qualifies utilize for their services. And especially with the veteran services, there's a lot of things that you may be able to qualify for as a veteran or even a family member or spouse of a veteran. So there are those screening questions that the call specialist will ask the caller just to, again, try and see what may be available. And what's wonderful about the database that they're able to pull up, they're able to see what those screening requirements are as well. So again, you're not having to make 10 phone calls only to find out that you don't qualify for some of the services. They'll do a lot of that legwork for you. And then ideally at the end of the call, you'll be able to say, okay, I know that this is an agency, that this is my next step. I'm going to call this agency because they offer this type of service, which is what I'm looking for. The other way to utilize 211 is before an emergency or after. So Hurricane Irma, for example, 211 was very vital in folks calling to say, where is an area shelter? Where can I get some sandbags? Which shelters are for special needs folks? Which accept pets? All those questions that you may have before a storm. And then after the storm, once the emergency line was turned off here in Marion County after so many hours after the emergency, 211 got all those calls. So that was the number folks could call to, again, report something, but also to really navigate applying for FEMA assistance, what are the next steps, and then especially for the folks that may have been either denied by FEMA or what damage or issues they had weren't covered by FEMA, then that was the intake for us to be able to serve them was through 211. Because again, that's how we could assess, okay, what's their need and how do we really help them recover in the best way possible.
Okay, I know you have a certain amount of staff there at United Way, but you also have a need for volunteers. And tell us how someone could become a volunteer.
Yes, we, as a staff at 12, we're not very large for all the work that we do, and so we rely very heavily on volunteers. Our Reading Pals program alone, for example, we're looking to recruit over 250 volunteers this year. So we typically recruit a little over 200 for that program. But again, that's a direct correlation of the more volunteers we can recruit, the more kids we can serve, particularly in the fact that we're in 19 of the bottom schools here in Marion County, the ones that really do need the most assistance with literacy. And then we also, all of our front desk staff, they're all volunteers, the folks that are answering the phones, the folks that are there to be that welcoming face when you come into United Way. Also, our VITA program is completely staffed by volunteers that we provide that IRS training and certification for them to complete those tax returns. And then I get to work with some wonderful volunteers on the campaign side of things as it comes to fundraising in the community and building partnerships with companies and with individuals who may want to support us. So the best way to find out more about that is you can certainly call us at United Way. So our phone number is 352-732-9696, and just let them know that you're interested in volunteering. There's also a listing on our website of some great volunteer opportunities. So our website is just uwmc.org. And there's a volunteer tab on there. Currently, we have a list of volunteer opportunities with our partner agencies as well. So we like to keep that up to date. For example, if the Boys and Girls Club is looking for volunteers, or Kimberly Center, or our Nat House, just to name a few, all of the nonprofits that we work with also rely very heavily on volunteers to do the work that they do. And again, my name is Natalie, so you can feel free to call us and reach out and say that you heard me on the radio, and I'd be happy to speak with you and find a meaningful opportunity for you to engage either with a child through our Reading Pals program or in another way, giving of your time.
So how is United Way funded? Through donations? Do you have grants?
Yes.
What are your resources?
So we're working more and more on diversifying our resources, like many nonprofits. So last year, we were able to raise a little over $2.3 million. I will tell you that about 1.8 of that was completely with donations through very generous donors in the community, through folks that may contribute at the office, through our workplace campaigns, as well as folks that, just start engaging with us as volunteers, become passionate about the mission and make donations. In addition, we do receive about $500,000 in grants, particularly as it relates to the direct service that we provide through Strong Families or through Reading Pals. And then we have a variety of events throughout the year that help us fundraise as well. So we're always out looking for new things to do, whether it's some of the 5Ks that we host out in the community or our biannual gala, which is a wonderful, fun event that raises a lot of great funds for United Way. So completely funded. Unfortunately, we don't receive any state or federal grants. So it really is the generosity of our community, our corporate partners, and folks that give at the workplace that allow us to do the work that we do and fund so many great agencies that rely on our support, and in many cases, our local match to be able to provide the programs that they do.
Now, you have a couple of events, actually one coming up August the 20th. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, so August the 20th is our annual meeting and annual giving kickoff. So that's really our opportunity to report to the community on what we've accomplished this past year and kind of the milestones that we've had and what our partners have been able to do as well in serving the community. So we'll include our annual report at that. We also elect a new board of directors because, again, we have a all-local board of directors that manages us, and we as staff report to our local board of directors. So we'll be welcoming some new folks on that. And then we're going to have a little bit of fun and formally kicking off our annual giving campaign. We do the majority of our fundraising in the fall through an organized campaign. And so this event will kind of kick things off and start us off on a good foot. And that event is actually sold out. So we're very thrilled. We're going to have about 230 business leaders, folks in the community, and some of our nonprofit partners as well there to again celebrate what we've accomplished this last year, and then look ahead and say, what can we focus on with your support this year to have an even greater impact on Marion County.
I also see you have January the 11th, this is in 2020, that you have a Run for Reading.
Yes.
5K.
Yeah, so we are very blessed to have some wonderful volunteers and leaders from actually our local public supermarkets here in Marion County that help us put that event on. So it's the Run for Reading 5K, and it's going to be happening in Tuscaloosa Park in downtown Ocala. And that's a run or walk. While we have some serious runners that do come out, we have a lot of folks that walk the event as well. All the proceeds from that event go toward our Reading Pals program. And just so you're aware, it does cost us about $100 per student per year to run that program. So again, the more funds that we raise through these events, the more students we're able to serve. Because part of the program is they do get a book each week that they get to take home and add to their home library. In many cases, the kids may not have age-appropriate books at home to read, particularly those in more lower-income areas. So by the end of the program, the child will have received 30 books for their home library. That's a big cost for us is providing those books, but one that we do every year to ensure that by the end of the program, the child has books that hopefully the parent or guardian is reading with them at home. So on January 11th, it's a great opportunity to come out, have a fun day with the family. We do it as a book theme, so you can come to the event dressed as your favorite book character. We'll have a little costume contest as well, and that is also part of the Big Hammock Race Series. So for those of you who are serious runners, that is one of the featured races in the race series this year. So if you do enter that, you can count that toward your Big Hammock Race Series points. And so we're very thrilled that that's part of that multi-county race series that was started, I guess it was about 3 years ago here in Marion County.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to donate, I only have like a minute here. If someone wanted to donate to United Way, make a donation, monetary or whatever, how would they do that?
So they could certainly call us at 352-732-9696, or they can go on our website at uwmc.org/donate. It's also a button up at the top of our website that you can click to give. So you can make a one-time donation or even set up a reoccurring donation through our website and even allocate it to an area that you're most passionate about, such as education or health.
My guest today has been Natalie McComb. Thank you for being with us and taking out your time to come and talk with us today. Natalie is from United Way of Marion County. Homepage is presented as a public affairs features of 93.7 K Country and Wind FM 95.5, 92.5, and 107.9. We welcome your comments. Please email me. Our email address is homepage@ncfmgroup.com. You can listen to Homepage by going on to our websites at 937kcountry.com or windfm.com. I'm Bob Moody, hoping you will join us next Sunday for another edition of Homepage.